Ram, now let's bring you some of our stories in brief. Early 1 week to the 2019 general elections, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has announced the readiness of the commission to conduct free, fair and credible elections. Addressing a team of observers from the Commonwealth Observer Group, Professor Yakubu says the commission is prepared to entrench the culture of simultaneous accreditation and voting exercise in order to ensure a smooth election. And the political parties and candidates have signed a peace accord agreement, and this is in Abia State, to abide by the rule of the game and avoid any act that can truncate the democratic process. Elsewhere, the Christian Association of Nigeria in Kaduna State has organized a prayer rally for a peaceful 2019 general election in the state and the country in general. The Kaduna State CAN chairman, Reverend Joseph Hayib, who led hundreds of Christians to the prayer session held at Al-Bakir Fellowship Baptist Church in the state capital, is calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies to be neutral, apolitical and professional in their duties in order to ensure a free and fair election. The Supreme Court has struck out the appeal filed by the All Progressives Congress APC challenging the judgment of a High Court in Rivers State which barred the party from conducting any primary in the state in the forthcoming election. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Aliyu Sanusi, the Apex Court held that there was substance in the preliminary objection raised by counsel to Mr. Ibrahim Umar and 22 others, that the appeal filed by the APC has become an academic exercise. Justice Bode Rhodes fixed the date for the judgment after taking argument from counsel for appellant APC, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, and counsel for the respondent, Mr. Henry Bello. Mr. Fagbemi had asked the Apex Court to nullify the judgment of the Federal High Court on the grounds that the trial court had no jurisdiction when it entertained the suit.
The Supreme Court has been inundated with appeals surrounding the representation for the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State in the forthcoming election. In one of the cases, the APC is challenging the judgment of Justice Chiwendu Nwogu, which declared the primaries conducted by the APC as a nullity. While addressing the court, counsel to the APC, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, urged the Supreme Court to nullify the judgment of the High Court in Port Harcourt. He also claimed that since the trial court had no jurisdiction, its judgment in the matter amounts to a nullity and should be set aside. Mr. Fagbemi specifically asked the Supreme Court to evoke Section 22 of the Supreme Courts Act and give a final judgment in the matter. In his response, counsel to the respondent, Mr. Henry Bello, urged the Apex Court to dismiss the appeal of the APC on the grounds that it had become a mere academic exercise. He argued that by the decision of the Apex Court on February 8, 2019, which upheld the decision of the High Court in Port Harcourt, which barred APC from conducting any primary election, the case of the APC had died and should be buried. Mr. Bello argued that the respondent, led by Mr. Ibrahim Umar, who were aggrieved by the violation of the Electoral Act and the 1999 Constitution, in the manner the APC conducted pre-election matters in Rivers State, had secured a constant judgment in their favor, and such a judgment should stand.
The second appeal, arguments were taken regarding preliminary objection. The court rules to consider a decision. Later, the court decided that we should go into the main appeal, since the briefs of argument had been exchanged. That is, appeal constituted in Appeal SC 1333 of 2018, APC against Ibrahim Umar and others. It has now been reserved for judgment. By the grace of God, judgment will be delivered tomorrow in that appeal.
Besides the judgment to be delivered by the court, there are 3 other appeals before the Supreme Court emanating from the APC primary elections in Rivers State. Whether the judgment will have any effect on those cases and the participation of Rivers State APC in the general elections remains to be seen. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.